Hello students, let's study fundamentals of insurance. This is unit 4th and we will cover the functions and duties of agents. Let's study the introduction. Individual agents are the most important distribution channels in life insurance marketing. The success of insurance company is highly dependent on the army of agents and brokers. So, when we talk about the duties of agents, it is important that the marketing, the other activities of insurance businesses like contacting the clients and building up the claims or settling the policies, basically all relate to agents. Agents are the backbone of the insurance business. So, let us see what are their functions and duties related to this business for framing innovative policies and other innovative service products for the industry. Definition of an agent. The Insurance Act of 1938 defines insurance agent as an agent licensed under section 42 being an individual who receives or agrees to receive payment by way of commission or other remuneration in consideration of his soliciting or procuring insurance businesses, including business related to continuance, renewal or revival of policies of insurance. So, this is the basic definition according to the Act of Insurance, that is the 1938, which defines insurance and the broker as the middleman of the industry, who basically is responsible for crystallizing business, finding a client, getting the policy innovative and getting the feedback to the industry in form of views and the issues related to the policies. Classification of agents. The individual agents are classified into direct agents and career agents. There are two types of career agents. The urban career agents, that is the UCAs, and the rural career agents, that is the RCAs. That is, the insurance now has penetrated and trickled down to the economy in terms of small cities and even in the remote villages also. So, we have special agents who look after the urban centers, because here you have big investors and big corporates. So, the kind of the agents who are involved in the urban centers are more qualified and more able, and they need more abilities to convince the educated clients. But people in the rural backgrounds, these agents need to understand the language and convince the customer in the local languages. So, people who have the knowledge of the local language are generally appointed as RCAs, that is the rural career agents in the company. Urban career agents. Urban career agents are recruited for the career branch at the divisional office. To carry out the field operations, the divisional marketing manager appoints career agents and ordinary agents on recommendations of the branch manager. So, these agents are generally appointed by the branch manager, who generally tries to expand his business. The business basically relates to the expansion in terms where you have to build marketing, you have to make the policy popular in the market, and also form and frame new policies which are innovative and they attract clientele in the market. Insurance Regulatory Development Act of 2000. The regulation regarding appointment of licensing and remuneration of agents are laid in the Insurance Agents Regulation 2000 of the IDA Act. As per the regulation, each person aspiring to be an agent has to undergo practical training of 100 hours in life and general insurance as the case may be. So, this IDA Act of 2000 basically relates to the qualification of how to become an agent. The licensing requirement is like you have to undergo a practical training of 100 hours, which is given by most of the companies and even by the IDA body itself. So, after this training only you can enter into the business, because you have to learn the ethics and the kind of the rules, regulations related to the industry. Training of an agent. In case of composite agent, he or she should have completed at least 150 hours of practical training in life and general insurance business combined. The training has to be conducted by an institute approved and notified by the IDA. So, there are many institutes and colleges which provide training to the agents. These institutes are approved by the IDA, that is the regulatory body, and must have a combined training, practically 100 hours of life insurance business rules and regulations and other hours of general insurance business. Minimum business guarantee. An agent is required to do minimum business guarantee, that is MBG, of 12 policies, that is 12 lives in a year. If he or she can't achieve the minimum guaranteed business, the agency is terminated. There is no limit regarding the number of career agents that a development officer can recruit and supervise. Similar is the case of direct agents. So, generally when agents are appointed, they have a pressure to complete the targets. It is minimum of 12 policies per year, that is one policy at least you need to crystallize per month. And if you can't do even this minimum business, you are generally terminated, because then you don't add up to any value of business to the company. Let's study the functions of an agent. The functions of agents laid down in Rule 8 of the Life Insurance Corporation of India, Rules 1972, are as under. Procuring of new businesses. Every agent shall solicit and procure new life insurance business which shall not be less than the minimum prescribed in this rule, and shall endeavour to conserve the business already secured. In procuring new businesses, an agent shall take into consideration the needs of the prospect and his premium paying capacity. It is essential, it is a very important duty of an agent that you add up business to the company. So, the rules under the Act generally prescribe agents to build business for the company, and it is also that when you try to contact a client, you have to see his paying capacity and design a policy which is generally applicable and connecting to the buyer's ability to pay or to his paying capacity. Recommending proposals. The agent should make all reasonable inquiries in regard to the lives to be insured before recommending proposals for acceptance. Whenever you are accepting, you need to understand that why insurance is important, and the same has to be explained to the clients. Moral hazard report. He should bring into the notice of the corporation any circumstances which may adversely affect the risk to be underwritten. For this purpose, the agent's confidential report, and in all cases of large sum proposed, a moral hazard MHR is obtained from the agents. So, the agents have to make the report for all the policy which they are giving to the company. This is the kind of the risk which is underwritten and the kind of the evaluation which you generally do for each policy. This is a kind of a faith statement which states that whatever businesses you are doing has the minimum risk and the company can earn and the client can benefit. Not hurting business of other agents in business is also important. An agent shall not interfere with any proposal introduced by any other agent. Every agent shall maintain contact with all persons who have become policy holders of the corporation through him, and shall advise every policy holders to effect nomination or assignment in respect of their policy and other necessary assistance in this behalf. It is the duty of all agents to look into their policy holders. They need to give the service of building information, creating awareness, educating them, and generally allowing them to pay premiums on time. That is, you have to generally make them aware that this is the date you have to pay the premiums, or give them a remembrance, or give a phone call. That is, it is important to make the clients remember what is their premium date. It is also important that the agents do not interfere with the proposals given by other agents. You have to look to your own duty and to your own businesses. Building assistance. Render all reasonable assistance to the claimants in filing claim forms. As per the rules, agents are strictly prohibited from advancing premium on behalf of proposers or policyholders, from printing, publishing and circulating any leaflets, handbills or advertisements etc. relating in any way to the corporation, even at their own cost. That is, you have to give assistance to people by convincing them. The laws are there, the legality is there, and every information is written in the kind of the endorsement with the policy. So, the agents generally have to educate the customers through their own material which is built in the policy. They are not supposed to build advertising materials and circulate in the market on their own behalf, because it could be wrong message gone to the society. Collection of money. It is from allowing or offering to allow directly or indirectly commission or rebate to a proposer or life insurer, from collecting any monies from proponents or policy holders. They may, however, collect deposits towards the first premium and renewal premium and remit the same to the corporation immediately. It is the duty of the agent to generally collect the kind of the policy premiums, that is the first premium, and give it to the company. But they are not allowed to bribe the clients, or they are not allowed to collect any money of remuneration before giving a policy to the company. Rate of commission. The rate of commission is 2% for single premium, and on regular premium policy it varies between 5 to 25% and depends on the type of policy. Agent's connection. Unlike the case of other commodities, insurance customers do not normally go in search of agent or the product. The agent has to find out people, meet them, discuss with them, and convert the prospect into customer. Now, when we talk about insurance, insurance is not a commodity like apple or fruits which is sold in the market. It is an intangible business of trust and faith which has to be circulated to people through agents. The agents have to go to the customers. They have to find people who generally are interested in business and to give them information about the connection and build policy holders who can generally have the paying capacity to build the kind of the voices for the company. So, it is important that the customers do not come, but it is the agents who have to go to the people in this business. Agent's duty to principal. The agent owes the principal duties in two categories. First is the fiduciary duty and a set of general duties imposed by agency law. But these general duties are not unique to agency law. They are duties owed by any employee to the employer. So, when we talk about the kind of the duties of the agents, the duties are of fiduciary type and of the general duties which is laid by the Contract Act, that is when you generally take payments from the employer, you have certain commitment for the company to work as a part of system in that company. Fiduciary duty. In a non-agency contractual situation, the parties' responsibilities terminate at the border of the contract. There is no relationship beyond the agreement. So, the duty generally is guided by the law and the contract. What is there in the contract? It is the duty of the agent. This is a fiduciary requirement which is guided by the law and the act, and beyond that you are not supposed to do anything. But actually the fiduciary relationship carries to the long term aspect where you have a commitment towards client. Fiduciary, it imposes a kind of fiduciary duty. The law infiltrates the contract, creating the agency relationship, and reverses the general principle in that the parties are free to act in the absence of agreement. As a fiduciary of the principle, the agent stands in the position of special trust. So, you know, when we talk about this kind of a relationship which is generally guided by the law, nothing is physical or perpetual, but you stand in place of principle and you represent your client in the company. So, you have to represent that trust. So, the duties are beyond the act also, that you have a kind of a relationship and an emotional connect where you carry a reputation of your companies towards societies also. Fiduciary responsibility. His responsibility is to subordinate his self-interest to that of his principal. The fiduciary responsibility is imposed by law. The absence of any clause in the contract detailing the agent's fiduciary duties does not relieve him of it. The duty contains several other aspects. So, when we talk about that, the agreement is there and the law is there to guide your duties, but still the relationship never finishes. You represent your principal, so it is your responsibility that you subordinate your self-interest and stand in the faith of the company and in the faith of the client to give business and money to both the parties. Agency relationship. But the agency relationship is more than a contractual one, and the agent's responsibility go beyond the border of the contract. Agency imposes a higher duty than simply to abide by the contract terms. So, the agency has a kind of a contractual term with the agent where he goes beyond the law to work in an emotional and in a kind of a polished and a sophisticated person to look into the details and try to generally convince the customer and relieve him of all the pains, because it is the hard earned money of the customer which is invested in the business. Duty to preserve confidential information. To further his objective, a principal will usually need to reveal a number of his secrets to his agent. How much he is willing to sell or pay for property, marketing strategy and the like. Such information could easily be turned to the disadvantage of the principal if the agent were to compete with the principal or were to sell the information to those who do. Now, generally when we try to work with the insurance business, it is a complicated business because the investments and the financial transaction come into it, and sometimes these policies are also mortgaged in the banks also. So, the information about the financial position of the principal, that is the person who has entered into the business, is known to the agent. He knows all the details of the property and the policy and generally the financial ability of the principal. So, he can generally use this information to the disadvantage of the person and try to divert and dilute the quality of the business associated with insurance. This is illegal, and the insurer generally needs the kind of the basic trust that his information will not be sold in the market. The law and agent. The law therefore prohibits an agent from using for his own purposes or in ways that would injure the interest of the principal information confidentially given or acquired. This prohibition extends to information gleaned from the principal though unrelated to agent. Actually, when we are in business, we have to give lot of information to the agent, though the information is not related to agent's interest, but he can sell this information to somebody else like a competitors of principal and get money for it. So, this is generally prohibited by law, that you have to be generally aware that the confidential information should not be leaked. Section 395, Restatement 2nd of Agency Section 395. Nor may the agent use confidential information after resigning his agency, though he is free in the absence of contract to compete with his former principal. He may not use information learned in the course of his agency, such as trade secrets and customer lists. The section 395 basically implies that even when the agent is resigning from his company, he is not supposed to use this information of the principal which he had generally acquired in his course of working, and he can generally use it as a part of winning the competitors. You have to abide by law, and you generally have to maintain the trust of the company even after you resign. Breach of fiduciary duty. Section 11.3.3 Breach of fiduciary duty deals with an agent's breach of duty of confidentiality. So, if you break the laws, you are punishable under this section, that is the section 11.3.3. Duty to give information. Because the principal cannot be at every place at once, that is why agents are hired. After all, much that is vital to the principal's business first comes to the attention of agents. If the agent has actual notice or reason to know of information that is relevant to matters entrusted to him, he has a duty to inform the principal. Now, because the principal cannot represent himself everywhere, he has agents to do his work. So, whatever information the principal requires for working, or whatever the information principal has given to the agent, he has to represent the principal and give information to the company, and also company's information to the principal. Duty to obey. As a general rule, the agent must obey reasonable directions concerning the manner of performance. What is reasonable depends on the customs of the industry or trade, prior dealing between agent and principal, and the nature of the agreement creating the agency. It is the practice and the norm of the industry to obey the principal and generally comply with the industry and the company's norms. It is all legal that you obey and give information both to the company and to the client. Duty of skill and care. The agent is under a legal duty to perform his work with care and skill that is standard in the locality for the kind of work which he is employed to perform, and to exercise any special skills if there are greater or more refined than those prevalent among those normally employed in the community. In short, the agent may not lawfully to do a sloppy job. Restatement of agency section 379 basically depicts this. So, skills and professionalism is necessary in the industry, and the agents are supposed to perform and build their skills to convince the client and do the legal compliances for the companies according to the norms. Duty to act only as authorized. This duty states a tourism, that is one for which there are limits. A principal's wishes may have been stated ambiguously or may be broad enough to confer discretion on the agent. That is, it is important that you give the lawful and the honest information to the company on behalf of the principal. Duty of good conduct. It is important to work in a systematic and effective way to create a valuable relationship of trust and faith with the client. Your conduct and moral behavior is important, and so you have to obey all the laws and all the compliances in order to work in the industry in an effective and a systematic way. Now, let us study the summary of this lecture. In this lecture, we have covered the functions and duties of agents. Agents are important for the company because they form the distribution channel of the company. The agents have legal duties and fiduciary duties. They have the relationship of trust with the clients and also a relationship of trust with the company. The agents need to work according to the Contract Act and obey all the laws related to insurance business, because if a loss is there to company, the company can close down, and if there is a loss to the client, the reputation of the company can go down. So, you have to balance that what kind of risk you are taking, what is the evaluation you are doing, and what kind of proposals you are given to the company. The agent's duty is also to do the business in a quality way where information has to be kept confidential and the principal interest has to be saved. The professionalism of the industry is carried generally by the kind of the skills development of the agents. If the agents are trained and they can do their business in a better way, the industry can run in an effective way. I hope the students must have understood how agents are important to insurance business and what are the fiduciary and the legal duties of agents towards clients, society and company. Thank you, students.